Hello there, Heists, CabooseDOTexe here, and today I want to go over the dev update video for 1.0.1. There was a lot of good news to be heard in this video, mainly about the free stuff that they're going to be adding. This first update is going to be completely free. However, before they dive into all the free stuff we're getting, we hear about what was happening behind the scenes and why it took over a month before we even got our first patch. Basically, while they were working on this first update, they realized there was a major flaw in the backend that could erase all player progression. So that became the main focus. While that was being worked on, there was also bugs being fixed. And it's easier to fix bugs than it is to add a whole new set of stuff that can cause more bugs. So that's why we got just a patch. And their main effort was put into preventing players from losing data. And after a launch like that, it's honestly fair. They couldn't afford any more bad press. And I'm very glad they've been a lot more open. It's more what we're used to as Payday fans. Overkill and Starbreeze have always been very open with their player base. I'm hoping that they've gotten all this stuff figured out and we can have patches and updates more regularly, like what we had with Payday 2. Now that we're done with all that, let's talk about the new stuff, the stuff you really want to hear about. First off, we got some changes to the XP. Now, we've all talked to death about the whole challenges are the only way to level up thing. So to address that, you're going to be getting some infamy points just by completing the heist, which is something I think we've all kind of predicted was going to happen. I even kind of incorrectly stated that it was already a feature when I made that short. But I guess the nice thing is now, it's actually a feature that's coming to happen. So booyah to me. And speaking of challenges, they're going to get some reworking on their rewards. But more importantly, there's going to be some quality of life features. So on the menu, you'll be able to see what challenges you have. And it'll even recommend you some. Hopefully some of the features we'll be getting will include a search bar as well as some filter options. Because trying to find just one challenge out of 400 is just really annoying. Now we will be getting some new heists, 2 legacy heists to be exact. What this means is that they're taking 2 heists from Payday 2 and bringing them to Payday 3, similar to what they did with the classic heists from Payday 1 to Payday 2. These 2 new heists are Cook-Off and Murkystation. If you've seen my top 10 video, you'll know I love Cook-Off. It's my number 10. I recommend checking out that video if you haven't already. Now, it's not going to be a perfect one-to-one. They will be making changes to the map to fit Payday 3's gameplay more. So at least it doesn't feel like they're just doing a straight copy-paste. As you can see in the footage, it looks like they're adding some scaffolding outside of the building to add more mobility options. I'm really excited to try this map out. I love cooking meth in Payday 2. Just do me a favor and don't tell the police I said that. Seeing as how Cook-Off is a loud-only heist, I think it's only fitting that we get a stealth-only heist. However, I am confused that it's Murkystation and not Shadow Raid. According to Starbreeze, Murkystation was a very popular heist. Personally, I didn't play it all that much, and I don't know anyone who did, but that is just my experience. Personally, I would have preferred Shadow Raid. Oh well, hopefully they'll add it later on. Now, what do you think of these 2 maps? Are you excited that these are the maps that we're getting, or are there 2 different ones that you wanted to see? Now, you might also be thinking, I wish we got some original stuff, but I'll get to that. I have an explanation for that one. But before we talk about that, there's 2 things I want to talk about. The first being that we're going to get 2 tracks to go along with these 2 maps, courtesy of Gustavo himself, and I'm not talking about the dentist. The other one is that much like Payday 2 and how it integrated the Payday 1 heist into its story, where we're going to have to do the same thing for Payday 3, which means that we're going to need a contractor to give us these heists. And who else would be better for the job than the main man himself? Locke.
Oh my god! What's wrong with your face?
Turns out the assassins that went after the Payday gang also went after Locke. Locke's voice actor tweeted out that this was something that he's been hiding for months, meaning it was probably planned months before Payday 3's release. And the last thing they're going to add is a brand new skill line transporter. This will be bringing us 6 new skills total that you can use. First up in the line, of course, we have transporter. Its basic is whenever you pick up a bag or body, you gain or refresh rust. And whenever you throw a bag or body, you lose that rush. If you ace it, you also get grit with the same rules. Next, you got beast of burden. As long as you have rush, carrying objects or bodies doesn't incur any movement speed penalties to you. Now, I wasn't entirely aware there was much of a movement speed penalty while I was carrying bags. And you're also going to have brutal carry, which is as long as you have grit, any civilian or employee who sees you carrying a body will immediately become intimidated. This could be very useful for stealth. kill a guard in front of somebody or a group of people, then you pick them up and they all drop to the floor. Could be a great way to get everybody down. So while I was editing this, I realized there was actually a fourth one that I was able to find in the video. It's just right at the end of this segment. It's called Deep Pockets, and the description reads, if you have a deployable bag in your loadout, you start the heist with one extra deployable of that type, but all your deployable bags have 2 charges less, minimum 1. Now this may not sound initially like it's going to be all that great of a skill, but if you do the math, instead of having one bag that has 6 charges, you'll have 2 bags that have 4 charges. So you're still getting a net positive. And I feel like as the game goes on, they're going to start adding harder and harder levels. Kind of like when they added Death Wish and Mayhem and One Down and Death Sentence and you know what I mean. Now the main thing with the transporter skill line is that you will be able to carry 2 bags at once. Finally, after all these years, we're finally going to be able to carry 2 things of loot at once. I think this was something that we've all been waiting for and we've all been wanting. Now heists that are going to have like 20, 30, 40 bags of loot won't feel like such a chore to get through. It's beautiful. I can look at this all day. Please, I need this update. Inject it straight into my veins, Starbreeze. And it looks like the last thing on this skill line is like a throwing distance skill, which, you know, is always nice to have. What you might have noticed in these pictures is that there's actually a skill line in the bottom there that it looks like they're already planning out, and this needs to have some images placed in. I wonder what that's gonna be. Place your bets on what you think it is in the comments. So you're probably wondering, do I think this update's gonna fix Payday 3? Obviously, the answer to that is gonna be no. It's gonna need more updates in order to get it to where people want it. But I have my full faith in Starbreeze that they're perfectly capable of giving us that. See, what a lot of people don't seem to remember is that Payday 1 and Payday 2 didn't actually have that many heists on launch. People will say that there's actually like 13 heists at launch, but like 4 or 5 of them were the same bank. Only after 9 years of content updates did we finally get to where we are now. And I say 9 years because from November 2018 to November 2019, there wasn't any real updates. This was because they were recovering from Overkill's The Walking Dead. And only around November 2019 can we say that the development of Payday 3 really started. So in about 4 years, this is what we got. Which may not seem like much, but they did lose members of the team. And this was an engine that they were not familiar with and only became familiar while developing Overkill's The Walking Dead, which, as we all know, was kind of a failure. So now that they've fixed the issues with player progression being lost, and we're finally getting our first bit of content with 2 new maps, I think we're going to start seeing more updates regularly, and that's what's going to really help keep this game going. Unlike the next gamer, I want my games ready to go day 1 and not year 2. Unfortunately though, sometimes it just happens. But we've been having some really good examples of games that have been able to recover just given the time. Your No Man's Skies, your Fallout 76s, your Cyberpunk 2077s, and your Halo Infinites are all proof of this. What I'm trying to say is, let's give Starbreeze a year, at least, you know? Their roadmap is significantly better than Halo Infinites. I have faith that they will be able to recover from this, but until then, let me know what you think in the comments. Please, I love reading the comments, and if you've been following me along, you know I do actually read them and respond to most of them. But until next time, I've been CabooseDOTexe, and remember, I love you! Bye-bye.